we started living together very soon. So we've been living together for like practically all of our... You were what?
I was kidnapped.
Hi, I am Magdala D. Norton. This is my husband, John E. Norton Jr. We are here with Couples Talk. We share relationship conversations, just couple conversations, not only marriage, but like couples. When you think about relationships and healthy relationships. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Hope you are enjoying the conversations that we've been having so far, and hopefully you found value in we've discussed. Find or found value in what we've discussed so far. Today we are going to be talking about some financial decisions that we've made as a couple to grow our relationship financially, because you want to grow your relationship in all aspects, right? You want to make your relationship stronger, and growing your money is a way to help grow your relationship, because money is a cause of stress in relationship, and studies show that finances is one of the leading cause of relationships ending. You know, the D word, so not that D word, but the divorce word. Because there's 2 D words. You get it?
No.
There's 2 D words that cause relationships to end.
No, 1 D word, and there's a bad D that can cause relationships to end. It's just not a regular D word.
When we first started dating, we started living together very soon. So we've been living together for like practically all of our... You were what?
I was kidnapped.
Anyways, I don't like driving back and forth. So I was like, I'm not coming to your place. You coming over here. So, just stay here. Just move in. Like, cause we're not doing this back and forth. So he moved in.
That was pack a bag. You might as well pack a bag. It'll be a while. Like,
you're gonna be here anyways. Just go ahead and get comfortable. Because I knew he was like a forever person. So it was just like, let's just go ahead and live together. So fast forward, we got married, and we bought our first home together, which was a fixer-upper. When I tell you, it was a bank repossessed home that was totally empty for quite some time.
So they had stole the plumbing out of the place.
Everything that was copper was taken.
The furnace was. Did we have to get?
They took the furnace. There was no plumbing in the home. Old electric. Mm-hmm. They took all the cabinets from the kitchen.
The water heater.
I said, wow, they really gutted that house. So we bought this home in Baltimore City, West Baltimore. When we were looking at homes, I was thinking about cost, because cost is always a factor when you're purchasing things. You have to look at the numbers, crunch the numbers, see if what you're buying is something that you could afford in the long run, right? Not just monthly, but in the long run, because of that compound effect, right? When I went to look at the house, I went to the neighborhood. I said, oh, this neighborhood is quiet. It was a residential street, only houses, no stores or anything. Then I went again and I looked at the house again, very quiet neighborhood. I said, okay, this is a nice area. The home is nice, a beautiful home, 3 stories with a basement. So you're talking about 4-story home, not in great condition at all, but I saw potential in the home. It had great bones. And then you saw it, right?
Yeah, so I went through there at several every key points or key times throughout the day, just to see what the foot traffic was like. What it was a transitioning neighborhood. When we purchased that home, there were probably 5 or 6 other homes on that block that were vacant. Nobody was living in it.
Yes.
And by the time we sold it, every house on the block had been purchased and renovated, and people had moved in.
So the home was listed, I think it was listed for $38,000. This was in 2013. 2013. We ended up buying it at 33. So we bought it for $33,000. We couldn't live in it immediately because it needed work done. So we had someone bring it to living conditions. And then we ended up
A crook.
The stories we can tell.
A crook.
You know what? So listen, don't share that.
This is a guy who he charged people at the church for a service, and I found this out after the fact. And so he charged people at the church to renovate and do things at the church, and he didn't even do their work. So if you're gonna rob from God, you're gonna rob from anybody.
So he was a crook, yes. But the house did get to living condition while the house was being renovated. So we bought the house in November of 2013. I deployed February of 2014. My husband and our daughter were living with his brother, my in-laws at the time. I was deployed and the house was being renovated, so it was being worked on. So the expectation was that when I came back, we would move into the home, our home, which is what happened. So we moved into the home. Winter hit. There was no furnace. Listen, this is Maryland. It was ice cold. So we had to get a furnace in the house, which we financed. We got the furnace in the house now. Listen, fixer-uppers, if you want to test your relationship, get you a fixer-upper, okay?
We lived in a house for it felt like an entire year without a kitchen.
Ooh.
We were cooking in a new wave oven, like those old school
electric burner
hot
things.
plates. You got the 2 little electric burners and cooking. Like when I tell you, my skills in the kitchen grew just by not having what you would. I'm talking about a 6-foot folding table was my countertop.
Yes.
And that's where everything took place.
So what I love about that experience is that we were in it together, and then we know that we can make it anywhere. Because I think only one of us were working at that time. I was like, babe, we are really we're making things happen with the little bit of that we have. So if we can make it happen here with what we have, we can make it happen anywhere, no matter what we have. So that really, it tested our relationship, and it also strengthened our relationship. So we bought that fixer-upper. We lived in it until we moved in 2020. So I was a reservist in the military, the United States Air Force. I went active duty in 2020. I was stationed in Texas. So I moved in 2020. John continued to work. He continued to live in the house in Baltimore till 2021. And we did buy a house in Texas. I was living in the house in Texas. He was living in the house in Baltimore, paying 2 mortgages. Listen, stories. We have stories. When you've been together with a person for so long, you are going to collect stories along the way. So we'll share those stories with you. A
mortgage and a home equity line of credit.
Yeah, so it wasn't so bad. Okay, but you talk about light bills, water bills. Okay, we don't like the bills. Anyways, we sold the house in Baltimore in 2021. So bought it for $30, did some fixing on it, of course, lived in it for 7 years. And then when we sold it, we ended up profiting, I think, $25,000 after, all taxes and fees or whatever, real estate fees, things, whatever. So we ended up profiting that $25,000. So it was a worthwhile investment. That was great. Home ownership, we love it. We're going to continue doing that. Sold the house in Texas. And we profited, I think we made more in the Texas house. We made probably about 30 on that house. 30,000 on the Texas house, moved to Florida. Now we have a home here in Florida. And when we move, we're going to sell it too. So that's something that we do. We buy homes as opposed to renting.
Yeah.
Because if we were to rent, what would we sell?
You look at what's going on currently, and like y'all can do your own research on this, but you have, I forget, like trusts and big corporations are now purchasing homes. You got a lot of families and individuals that are not buying homes. They say, oh, it's better to rent. And I looked at it a couple weeks ago where at one point in time, it costs more to rent than it did to buy a home, and now it's like flip-flopped. It costs more to buy a home and pay a mortgage than it does to rent.
It costs more or less, more in the
more to your mortgage
upfront cost.
No, your mortgage is more than what it is to rent.
I agree.
But it's only by like a couple $100.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So now, once all these corporations own the property and it's going to be tougher for you to buy a home, what are you going to do when the people are starting to rent and they jack the prices on rent up?
Because they will.
So now you're not going to be able to afford rent, and you're not going to be able to afford a home.
To buy.
And here's the thing. Most people, when you pass down wealth, it's done through a couple different ways. You can pass down a real estate, and you can pass down like life insurance and stuff like that, which is another topic. But just think about like the families where, oh, I'm living in my mom. This is my mom's house. This house was, she paid $30,000 or $40,000 for it, or now let's say $100,000.
Yeah.
Now 20 years from now, that house is going to increase in value. Every house that we had increased in value
while we lived in it.
Now there is a trick though. This is a little caveat. If you pass down a house that's not in a trust, then your children are going to have to pay inheritance tax. Yeah. But if you put it in a trust, you can avoid some of those taxes, but that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But man, y'all, I don't care what nobody say. Y'all need to go get a house, because when we moved here to Florida, like the options were either a rent apartment. An apartment was like $2,000. Yeah. You can either rent a home. Renting the home was like $2,500.
Yeah, for a family.
And for a family house, or you can buy a home. And buying a home was somewhere you can find anywhere between $25,000 to $3,000. So now it's like, well, I can either rent somebody's home for $25,000 and pay their mortgage, or I can get a home for myself and pay my mortgage. Yeah. And people were trying to talk us out of it and said, oh no, what happens if you can't sell? Well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Looking at the market, when we moved into this market, homes are not readily available here because it's so much. It's only so much space. Yes. So now developers in this area are just looking to find places where they can put a house. Yes. Because there's not much. This is a developed area. It's been this way for a long time. So now you add to the point that here in this area, you have a lot of military families coming in and moving. So homes don't stay on the market very long. So it was a risk that we were willing to take. Yeah. It's not like we buying in a newly developed area where home sales are slow. The homes here are selling like hotcakes. So yeah. So and when I think about like renting, because I haven't rented since because I bought a condo before we got together. I had a condo, so I bought my first property in 2008. I have not. Well, we did rent in Jersey, so we rented in Jersey. But although we rented in Jersey, we were also looking to purchase a home. Yes, we were. But part of the reason we moved from Jersey is because
we had our daughter.
Not that we didn't move because we had a kid. I mean, the homes were expensive. Yeah. So, and this was expensive for that time for our budget. This was like 2012, 2011. We had already, because she was real big on watching these flip this house, and she always wanted to buy a fixer-upper. That was her thing. So I bet, no problem. We buy a fixer-upper. The fixer-uppers were starting at like $160,000. And at that time, we weren't. I was an undergrad. You were working doing. The income wasn't there we were trying to buy cash. It was just too much. The timing wasn't right. Jersey just did not work. And Jersey taxes, so it was like for $160,000 house, the taxes were like $5,000 or $6,000. I'm like, that's damn near a rent. Like at this point in time, what were we paying in rent? Like $7,000.
We were paying $850 for a 2-bedroom attic apartment in Jersey. It was good. And taxes was $6,000. Yeah, so that's what, dang near. Yeah, I wouldn't. $500 a month for taxes on a home. So now I'm like, I'm not gonna pay taxes for $500, and then I can rent. So if we would have still been in Jersey, we would have eventually bought.
but it would have been had to be a better scenario where our incomes were growing. When we purchased our house cash, we were on really like a one budget. And
one income.
I think at this point in time, we might have been making like between the both of us $40,000 or $50,000.
That was in Baltimore.
That's two incomes combined, $40,000 or $50,000, and we purchased a home and renovated it. And so I say that to say most people say, "Oh, we can't buy a home. Homes cost too much." The problem is, the homes where most people want to buy
cost too much.
They want to buy a home in an area that they can't afford. And say, like coming out of college, just now getting into your career, starting to buy a home, mid-20s to late 30s, you looking to go in and get a $300,000 home.
You gotta look at your options and explore, which is what we did, and the fixer-upper made sense. Today's market is a little bit different. I mean, we're not looking at fixer-uppers, but don't discount fixer-uppers. Look at them. Look at the bones of the house. Does the house have potential? And sometimes those homes, you can buy it low, do some, repairs on it that'll cost less than buying a house brand new or buying a move-in ready home. So it makes sense, and you just want to take your time, be patient with it, look at your numbers, and think about your finances, and think about the long term. How much is this house actually gonna cost me? When I think about a $300,000 home at 6 whatever percent that the interest rate is now, when you look at like when you're done paying that house off, like the 30 years, man, we pay a lot for homes.
You're gonna end up paying whatever home you got. If you take a loan and not pay cash,
you're just gonna pay more.
You're gonna end up paying 2 or 3 times the amount for that home.
And it's kind of
that's just the way it works.
That's just the way it is. So our goal now is, we have a home in Florida. When we move, we're likely going to sell this one, but we haven't decided yet. I feel like we're going to sell it depending on the market. Do we want to be landlords? I don't know. These are things. Do we want Airbnb? These are things
when we move from here, I would prefer to rent our house because I like this area.
Okay, so you want to have a home here?
A vacation area. So if you wanted to come down here and travel,
you can vacate.
You can. So I am of the opinion we need to purchase a home that we're going to keep because I foresee the market
changing.
Home sales, I believe, have slowed down because of the interest rates that they're charging.
Yes.
Once they lower these interest rates, it's going to become a seller's market again. Right now, the market is about even.
Yeah.
So once they lower interest rates and more people start buying homes, it's going to become a seller's market, and the homes are already inflated in prices.
Yeah.
Just imagine what's going to happen when more people start buying homes. That market is going to go skyrocket a little bit more. So now you're going to have to worry about buying inflated housing. So let's just say if the housing that we're looking at now costs $300,000. Now let's just say in 10 years, 15 years,
$600,000. Who knows?
She decides to retire, you're looking at that same house going to cost you $500,000, or you could have got it 15 years ago.
Okay.
And Busting ain't about to die, so
it makes sense. So we didn't mean to get too much into like mortgages, but that's something that we do.
Your biggest cost as a family is going to be housing.
Yeah. So
unless you pay it off.
Exactly. So that's a insight into our decision when it comes to real estate and how we, our finances. So we'll share more on this topic. We will keep it going and share more things that we do to increase our finances. I am Magdala D. Norton. This is my husband, John E. Norton Jr. This was our couples talk video. Let's keep this conversation going. Let us know what you want us to talk about in the next video, in addition to what we pre-plan to talk about, okay? Subscribe, like this video, share this video, notifications on so you do not miss another video. Have a beautiful day.